Hey, now we're coming up on the Christmas season here, and I have to tell you, one of the things I guess from seeing all these videos and things you have picked up or figured out is my wife and I love to decorate the house for Christmas. We really get off on having that house all Christmassy and decorated and everything. And today we have a special treat. A special treat. Jim Borelli and his mom and dad, I'm sorry, his wife Debbie and her mom and dad are going to be here. Now, they're the ones that gave us, donated to our cause, some of the antique furniture that we have upstairs, and they have never seen this furniture refinished and reupholstered, so it's going to be a special thrill for them to see it. So we're kind of a half hour or so away from having them over here, and it's a special visit. And hey, this is one of the things a lot of people miss about model planes. They never really figure it out until so far into it that they've missed the point. You have friends in this hobby that you usually have for life. You usually don't have them, and 2 weeks later you go bowling, and 2 weeks later you go hunting or fishing or whatever. They're friends for life, special friends. Midgley, George, John, Jimmy, Debbie, Joe Ortiz, Mike Rogers. The list just goes on and on and on. You also have the friends that you have through the business, normal customers that just buy things and whatever. And you have a special group of friends, the friends that do get to see these videos and through the video get to share what amounts to be something very special to my wife and I, our Christmas day, our Christmas time of year, or whatever. So without further ado, we'll take a break from Spitfireville, and as soon as Jimmy and Debbie get here and their parents and Big Al, and we're going to have a ball. It's going to be a good day. Look at this, a beautiful place setting. Oh my God. Look at all these decorations for Christmas. The guests that do arrive momentarily. Remember that village we made on video? Hey, I hope you made one too. Got the Lionel trains out, got the lights going, got the subway going, the trolley going, everything here. Tree decorated, God. You don't know how we love this. We love Christmas. And we love sharing it with other people, sharing it with our good friends like the Borellis. Look at the tree. How much work my wife put into this tree. To Julia. I hope you have a village. I hope everybody out there has a village. Will just send it to me. Send me some pictures or video or something. Got my little airport going. Got the trolley going. Tell me I don't love Christmas. Unbelievable. Really having a good time this year. Mr. and Mrs. Claus, handmade by Karen. Now look, this is her dollhouse. She even has little presents on the dollhouse. Some little model planes. And of course Santa Claus. The beautiful Borelli furniture. Dolls everywhere. You guys out there, buy your wife a doll for Christmas. Big Jim's. There's Santa Claus here. Hey, I'm on that list. Super Tiger 60. Somebody better send me some new motors here. I'm going to have to use tune pipes next year. this, of course, for anybody that doesn't know, is the doll that belonged to Big Jim's mother-in-law. Big Jim gave us that doll last summer.
Because she has to, because she's still having it. Exactly. Keeps her that way. Hey, sweetie.
Equipment.
Look at all this beautiful food. Hey, say hello to the people. Hey. Hey. How's everything in New York, baby?
Debbie says get rid of the camera.
No way.
Say hello to the camera, Deb.
I don't want to.
I've had these little radiators sitting up by the heating vent for a couple of days now. And I'm in one of those sessions where I just have a really minimum amount of time, but trying to work around all this Christmas shopping and everything. Boy, oh boy, if you knew what we spent for Christmas, my God, Santa Claus would have a heart attack. Anyway, I want to get another coat of filler on this before I do anything. Not even going to sand it out, just going to get another coat of filler on it. Put this aside to dry, maybe get some of these fuse formers in today. Everything is just getting worse and crazier and everything, and people coming over, dinners, places we have to go. We do volunteer work too, so another thing that eats into our time. There's just not enough time. That's the whole problem. Need to work on Spitfires more. Now, the best way I've found to get these formers in, try to divide roughly in half, and again, this is not super critical. You don't really gain anything, or I don't see any advantage of starting at one end, working your way up. Sometimes what happens, you build it where you put a bow, or you build it like it's got a belly. What I found as the quickest way is using a 90-degree triangle to cut the parts, divide this in half, then divide that in half, constantly dividing in half, roughly. And if you have any that are a little bit oversized, you'll see the fuse start to bow or start to shrink. Well, you know, you have to make that adjustment. So at the end of installing every former, you want to trim it down and kind of take a look down. And make sure you're not building in some kind of crazy warp or bow. And it's kind of straightforward. I may get most of this done today. It's just a time-consuming thing cutting them. And I also put the formers all the way up into here so that this will be a little more rigid while I'm carving the blocks and making molds or whatever else I'm going to do with that front part of the body. The trick here is always tack a few of these in and just get a look at what you have. See that you're not making some kind of crazy bow. The minute you see you are making something crazy, rip them out. As long as they're tacked in, it's a very easy thing to do. Now, what I'll do is I'll divide this distance in half and this distance in half and try to drop a few more in. And I'm just repeating this over and over and over again. Now I'll drop one here, then I'll divide each one in half again until all the formers are in. Alright, I finally got all the formers in here. Now what's significant is this really didn't take too long, but a few of them I had to break out and put in a second and third time because they're very thin wood, and of course these are really flimsy. They're only in there only so I have some grip to carve the top block. You can see I have a nice little channel to run the push rod in, and when I get the push rod in, and I'll put some X members in here crisscross, that'll stiffen this up. But the strength from this comes from the fact that the ribs or formers are very close together. I block sanded off the bottom, and that's probably all I'm really going to get done today. This has turned out to be one of those crazy days. You can't believe it. When you're sick, everything just seems to be an effort and energy. So anyway, that was a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow. I got a sad note here in today's mail. Kevin Flossinger in Missouri. Obviously this is a cardinal, and obviously he had a mistake, let's call it, for lack of a better word. Actually, he did have a motor shut off on him overhead. So, he sent in this picture and he says thanks to all the videos he's been watching. Number one, the finish is real nice. He's happy with the finish. And he has been watching quite a few videos, believe me. And he also was able to repair the plane, and we'll be waiting to get some pictures of the plane completely repaired. Just another photo from Kevin, and boy, you know how this hurts. Everybody I know, from Midgley to me to John Datavio, everybody, knows what it feels like to come home with the what's in the picture, the plane in pieces. Boy, I hate to even look at the pictures. Thanks for the pictures, Kevin. Now it looks like these radiators are drying up real nice. I want to see if the filler is going to sand right out. Oh yeah. I had these parts up by the heating vent. They just dry right up. It's amazing. All right, the other thing, I'm going to try to get this sanded down real quick. I don't want to frame out the other fuselage. I got one here. I probably won't get it done today, but I'm just plugging away at this. My wife's out Christmas shopping. I hope she's buying me some nice stuff at Home Depot. She always buys me underwear and socks and everything. Come on, buy me some real men's stuff. Buy me an electric drill or something. Anyway, this stuff is sanding out nice. One more coat of filler and this will be ready for silver. Look how nice that finish is drying up on there. Boy, anytime you can get it by a heating vent, it's so nice. I guess by now you're sick of hearing me say dress off the edges, but I have to constantly remind myself, and I need to sand in on the edge, get the edge inside cleaned off too. One more coat of filler and these will be ready for a nice shot of silver. And we can start framing out the mounting points on the wing, which Joe conveniently has done already, figured it all out. Trying to get as much sanding as I can on these so that last coat of filler will be our last one. Even radius and all the edges too. Now just what I want. I'm just getting the last coat of filler on here, I hope, what'll be the last coat. And Karen says we're having company tonight. Come on upstairs. We're having company. Man, we get more company around the holidays. Everybody wants to come over and see that village. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't make a village. Anyway, I'm not going to get to work on the fuselage today. I may as well just quit while I'm ahead. Cut my losses. Get some, well, at least I'm getting the last coat of filler on here. And this will be the last coat of filler, and then I hope, well, we shoot some silver on this, or we can work on the body, depending on what the weather is. These are really coming out nice, by the way. Again, I'm getting a good substrate, getting plenty of sanding in between coats, and that substrate builds right up. And the last coat, always try to get the brush marks going in opposite directions. So when we do sand this out, we'll have very little sanding to do with the silver and the M600. Now, last time when I worked on this, what I want to do is I'm looking at this now, I want to figure a way, and I'm going to have some time to think about this. Usually what I do is when we have, I won't tell this to Karen, when I have family company, I daydream about modeling while we're talking about all that chit-chat bullshit jobs and everything, pierogies and everything. Anyway, one of the things I want to figure out how to do, and I'm looking at this right now, I want to make a template for the bottom of this fuselage. I'm going to think about how I want to do this. I want to make a template for the bottom of this fuselage and a template for the top, so that I want to replicate this onto the other body. I want to make sure I'm real close at almost every station. So if we decide to go with the molded blocks, they can just be dropped right on. So again, this is one of the things. Look at all this dust from sanding. one of the things that a lot of people think, and maybe this is a good time, being I have a few minutes before Nick and Joe get here. A lot of people think, and I wasn't aware of this until I got involved with Joe Kay, my partner at the machine shop, they think a lot of these great ideas that people have, they just jump out of the woodwork, or they come by magic. They don't. You really have to think about them. At least I do anyway. And what I'm trying to accomplish here is I want to start the other body. In fact, I have the crutch over here. Where is that crutch? Yeah, crutch. Anyway. And I want to think of every step of the way now. I'm going to try to improve how I did the first body onto the second one. Always making improvements. And a lot of times it requires something like I'll be watching TV, and believe me, this is not, I bet you there's other people out there, if they would admit this, you would know it's true. I'll be watching a TV show and it'll be about farming or something I don't even care about. And all of a sudden I'll say, oh, I know how I can get that in straight. I know how I can put that in on an angle. I know how I can do this. I know how I can replicate that part. Well, like the crutches, like the fuselage, a lot of this stuff is nothing more sophisticated than good sound common sense technology. So if you come up with an idea, and there are several ideas here that I've been wishing I had the time to write them up for Stunt News, because obviously there's people that read Stunt News never get to see the video and vice versa, but just coming up with some of these ideas and then putting them where they're useful in the real world is a giant, tremendous thing. It's not a little piddly thing. Now, most of this stuff, the ideas that I'm using, I got from Jim Greenaway. And I'm sure he did a lot of engineering and thinking and whatnot. Dave Midgley has come up with a lot of good ideas. Bob Martens, Adam Musco. And I like to think that I'm kind of the clearinghouse where all the ideas can come in, we homogenize them, we get them on video, or get them into Stunt News, and somebody can use those ideas. But I'm faced right now with having to make, I guess tomorrow is going to be the next time I can work on this, another fuselage crutch. And when you're making only one plane a year, it's kind of easy. You make one and boom, you're done. But what I've been doing every step of the way here is making one, and then immediately, when I go to do the second one, how can I make that better, quicker, cheaper, faster? How can I improve it? How can I in some way make it better? And it's a difficult process, but I feel like this is the first time in a long time I've built two planes in 1 year. In fact, paint two at the same time, or component parts for two. And I really feel like this is an opportunity to come up with some better ideas. I'm hoping some of the block work is going to translate into something that's usable for the people watching the video. But one thing I know everybody that ever watches this video can benefit from is the thought process of coming up with ideas and then translating the idea into something practical that you can make your work more enjoyable, more fun, lighter, faster, bigger, whatever, or pick up more girls in nude bars. I don't know what you can do. But just having these ideas, I feel very fortunate to know a lot of creative people. And I hope that from this project is going to come some more ideas that we can really use. So, all right, I'm coming, honey. Don't worry. I'll get all cleaned up. Man, my wife abuses the hell out of me. It's unbelievable. I'll be right there, honey. Now we're in the backyard of our house here. I had anticipated getting some good quality work time. Instead, I'm going to get some good quality shoveling time. Oh man, do I hate this. Hey, check this out. I made this for Karen the first Christmas we were together. Anyway, it looks like we have a little delay in the Spitfire program until the snow plows go through. Oh man. Big day of shoveling. Oh, it's so nice. I come in here. Now listen to this, guys. Listen. I want to tell you how you can evaluate a good wife. I get done with a long day of shoveling. My feet are cold. My nose is running. The wife puts the tree on, and she fills up about 6 cookie trays with chocolate chip cookies for me. Nice, fattening, cholesterol. Probably going to die from eating all these cookies. It's a nice way to end a good day. Chestnuts roasting on an open Spitfire.
Super Tiger 60s up your nose. Oh man. Never move to the Northeast. This is what you get. Instead of making Spitfire bodies, you're out shoveling snow. Ugh. Well, there's always tomorrow. Now, I had a lot of good time to think about this while I was out there shoveling my ass off, so I have, and I'm going to try to use an idea. Again, I don't know if this is going to work, but I want to put it on my list here. An idea that Lou Dudka I saw use, and I don't know that he invented it, but he was the first one I saw that used it, is he made an outline of the top of the fuselage. Now, what I did is in my beautiful ways, is I laid this on top, then trace down through the inside. Let's see if we can get down in there. And just made a rough line in between each former. So I'm on the inside of that. Okay, and then what I did is I took that off and I laid mask, because the line of course goes a little bit wiggly, but the tape kind of straightens out the line. So what I'm going to do is, the next time I get to do a serious work session, I'm just sitting down here pondering what I want to do here. Because I want these two fuselages to be exactly the same on top, so I can use, assuming that Joe does want to use the molded parts and not do his own version. But either way, I'll have molded parts then for my next ship, my next Spitfire. And obviously with very little modification, I could use this body for a Pattern Master or a Cardinal 51 or a who knows what. Once I have all these parts made up, this would be a very, very relatively easy thing to do. So what I did, and again, I don't know how new this technology is I just use this piece, put the tape on here, and I'll trim this back off, of course. And then what I'll do is I'll just tack glue that in position on the top as I put the formers, and that'll kind of hold it in position. Again, this is like a little experiment, and I'll see how it works. Again, just doing these little think tank things of exactly how I want to do it. Another thought that occurred to me, and again, this is just ideas. This is what I spend a lot of my free waking time coming up with, these ideas. One of the things I thought I could do is take the other fuselage crutch and tack glue it to the first one. So I wouldn't even need that piece. Again, I'm going to think about this. I'm going to be back out there shoveling, I'm sure, and mainly eating cookies. She's got the whole house smelling like chocolate chip cookies. But just coming up with these ideas is such a difficult thing. Because once I can replicate this fuselage, see the problem with it, and again, this is when you go through think tank stuff, what happens. You think about, if I glued the fuselage to this one, tack glued it in, opposite way, one of the things that would be a problem is once I built these two planes, I wouldn't have a template. If I use this, I'm going to go with this method, try and see how this works. With this method, again, more ideas. This is kind of the Bob Martens thing, trying to come up with ideas. If I do it this way, one of the things I'll have is a pattern, and I'll probably mail that out to Bob so we can put it right on the plans. But I can then, hopefully a year or two from now, or supposing Jim Damerel wants to use this body in one of his planes, well, we'll have molded parts, we can replicate this body in a very short amount of time. So anyway, I think I'm going to go with this kind of Dudka thing. And it might not even be Dudka's idea. Keep in mind, Lou did have a lot of good ideas in the time that I knew him. And in the time that we competed, it was always a good time. I kind of missed the guy out of the hobby. It was always fun competing with him. Now, it's really crazy working like this, but I sneak down here between shoveling sessions and eating cookies. I usually allow myself to gain about 10 pounds over the Christmas holidays. I'm well on the way to breaking that record, too. When you get up in the morning and you have the smell of chocolate chip cookies in the house, forget it. No cookie is safe while I'm around. Anyway, I'm going to try using this part. This will be an experiment, of course. But it will be. One of the things I can do is I can use that for a center line. I can leave it a little oversized and then trim it as I need to. Sanding block is particularly handy here. Now, I won't get to do it today, but when I get to work on this, probably the next day, if it ever stops snowing. I have this, and notice that this fits right inside. Now, we're not talking about thousandths of an inch here. I would say if this is within a 16th, it'll be just fine. But what it'll allow me to do is make the two fuses exactly the same. And what I'm doing, I'm referencing off, you see I have the flap elevator hinge line marked on the fuse sides already because I need to allow for room for the Rabe rudder linkage on one side, and I need to allow for that horn clearance in there. Again, the only thing I'm suspicious of here is when I actually physically go to put the tail on, and I won't know if that nut will be in the way in there. I'll have to see. If I need to move that nut, one of the things I can do is move it to the bottom. The top, I can rearrange that very easily if that becomes a problem. But anyway, I did get this done. I'm still dying with this head cold, believe me. Boy, I don't even wish this on anybody. This is unbelievable. And I think this will be, now just one final thing, as I'm out there doing the next round of shoveling or whatever, or the next round of eating cookies, one of the things I can be doing is thinking about how I want to frame up that second crutch. And I'm always looking for ways to improve it. Always, always ways to improve it. So that'll be the goal for the next session that I can get in the shop here. Now, Karen and I spent the whole morning here making these porcelainized flowers, and this is one of the things she's making albums for the girls she works with. Picture albums with porcelainized flowers on them. More on that later. I want to go work on a Spitfire. See, this is what happens. My work table gets all put aside for flowers. But luckily I got her. She's upstairs having coffee. I can get a little work done on a Spitfire. What I did, I just framed this out while she was doing flowers. The same way I did, put the bulkhead in, glue the crutch together, and put about every third or fourth former in, just to get some rough, curvature. Now I'll fill in each one in between and try to maintain that nice constant curve. Now what I did, I tack glued this piece into position. Again, I don't know until this is finished if this is really going to pay or not, but it certainly gives me one more option, one more choice. And I'll see once I get all the formers in it and I can cut that piece out.
Back to 1960.
Now I have almost all the formers in here, and I'm ready. I got to just go back here, and this is just a redundant thing. That's why I'm not putting the whole thing on video. One by one by one, and I'll fill in any of the gaps. I don't know. It's just I've been trying to work every third or fourth rib, work it up, and it's gone pretty quickly. I have to say that for itself. Now here's one tip I've found on this fuselage to be real helpful, is I make up the formers just a little bit oversized, kiss each side with the block, with the sanding block, leave the sanding dust on, don't blow the dust off. Now, what I'd like to have, remember I drew those little lines in there, I'd like to have it just line up right with the lines, but when you get to the last former, it's hard to get your fingers in there if you have big, fat, ugly fingers like I do. So I found a machinist ruler is a good way to just get it lined up with the lines. And in an all-perfect world, you'd like it to just stay in, see it'll stay in under its own force, but not that you have to spread the body. Otherwise, you get a body that looks like a starving horse. Now, when I go to put the glue on, I always give it a little pinch. Let the glue kick off. And again, the idea is here you would get a smooth contour instead of a wiggle-woggle. And obviously, when this is all done, I'm hoping that the two bodies are going to be real close to being exactly the same width. And what I'll do, I'll mail this template to Bob Martens so he can include that on the drawing. So then if you wanted to have a set of molded blocks for your Spitfire, you could use my mold. You wouldn't have to make your own mold, or you could pay me $1,000 to mold you up a set of blocks and whatever. Anything for $1. Okay. We only have to go from this station forward, and there's just 1, 2, 3, 4. This part, because we end the carbon fiber, begin the plywood, each one is just a little different. There's a lot of hand fitting on these last few. And they'll all get cut out anyway. It's really just to keep the body rigid. Now, while I've had a little bit of time to think about some improvements here, what I thought about doing, let's just see if I can think this through. I may leave this piece in here while I'm carving the mold. Now, the idea of carving with this piece in here, it'll add some rigidity. I can lean on the fuselage a little harder. Now, all the formers are in here rough. One of the things I do when I get all the formers in like this, I need to sight down it. I don't know if I can do this way or on the macrons, but you can see there's a couple little, I'll call them wows or whatever. There's one right here. So what I can do now is, where that former is, let's see if this former is just a little bit too big. One of the easiest ways I know, rather than go ahead and make a whole nother former up, I can just zone a saw right through the former. And the zona saw takes out, there we go. Now the former is actually loose. Let's see if that takes it out. Yeah, okay. Now once that's out, I can just put a little pressure on it. It's like a little fine tuning on the fuselage. And any low spots, you can just make a little shim out of a little piece of 64th plywood, a little piece of balsa, whatever. The idea being you want to look down and see a nice smooth curve. Just hit this a little more. Now I haven't glued any of these formers in permanently until I see how I want to. Alright, I see one more there that needs to be trimmed. There's one that's a little low here, and there's one that's a little high here. Right here, this one needs to be trimmed too. But again, this lets me just go right down here without even having to make up new formers. And of course, the worst that can happen, if this doesn't satisfy you, can make up new formers. Okay, and with that in there, let's just see if that did it. Since this is all inside the plane and it's not even permanently glued in, it won't even matter. Let's sight that down with the macro lens. Now these two here are a little low spots, so what I'm going to do is just squeeze a little piece of balsa. I don't even need this, I can use half of this amount. 64th plywood works okay too if you need to make real fine shims. But if you make them out of thin balsa, what it allows you to do is just squash it into position, and then the CA hardens it up. And you can fine tune this to death. Now the reason I want to fine tune it is I want both of these fuses to be real identical. I don't want one to be really bowed out and one fatter or thinner or whatever. And just give that a little look. Oh yes. Let's let that kick off. And it just acts as a little shim. You can even trim that off inside, make it fancy if you want. Now I can just kind of sight down it. Don't let this little, what looks like a little blip here fool you. That's where the carbon fiber begins and ends. It's like an optical illusion. And I don't have the front former in, so I really can't tie the nose section. I'm just looking for a nice even curve in this area. Now I go real gently. I don't want to break any of the formers. Real gently. Get a nice flat edge on there. Now just a couple of shots with the sanding block. Kiss that off, and then I want to start seeing if there's any other fine tuning I want to do. If there's no more fine tuning, I want to match it up to the other fuse. Now with the macro lens, I just want to kind of sight down, looking right down what you should be doing, looking for that nice curve. And it looks real nice here. And with this piece in, boy, it almost makes it impossible to make it crooked. Now I can dress this all off with a sanding block. Then I want to marry it up with the other fuselage and make sure they're both the same. Now I laid the two fuses one on top of the other, and that is about as close to getting two fuses identical as I have ever done. Or I don't even think it's possible to get it any closer than that. So that'll allow me, and of course I've flipped it over and done the other side too, it'll allow me, if we do decide to use blocks, we can always go back and use blocks, but it'll allow us to use a molded part that should fit. And if you use that piece off the plans, it should be you could use that same molded block even on a Cardinal or on any plane. Once you have established that shape for that back of the fuse and the way you're going to do the formers, you should be able to use molded top and bottom blocks. As long as we don't change that shape of the fuse, we should be able to use them for a long time to come. So it'll obviously save a lot of money buying the blocks, the work carving them and making them, and they'll be a lot lighter, I'm sure. And we will be glassing the nose, so we don't even have to worry about that front. Now, the last thing I have to do here is, and I'm going to tell you something I did on the first fuselage when I double glued these in. I glued the hatch in place, so that wasn't so smart. So before, now keep in mind, this whole thing is just, this is the newest one. This one is tack glued in. I'm going to take the hatch out and go in every former now, run CA on it and wipe it with the Q-tips. Both sides, as far down, well I don't even have to get down on the other side. That top piece is coming out. So I can get that done next. Now I can just start at the front here. Do about 3 at a time. There's more than 3. Just wipe it with the Q-tips. That gives it a nice smooth joint. I'll go all down one side and work my way back to the other side. That'll make this permanent. I already took the hatch out. I don't want to be the dummy junior and glue this hatch in too. And I have to look at what I'm going to do about clearance on that hatch. That bolt looks like it gets in the way. I have to do a dummy dry fit of the tail and see if that has to be moved. If it does, maybe right now would be a good time to do it. Phew, boy, this stuff stinks. Woo-wee. Again, once I have that top piece figured out, boy, that allows me a lot of choices here. I could even do a Cardinal top block. And once I make up the mold, I'll never have to make another top. No more of those $40 Riley Wooten top blocks. And see, here's what I was afraid was going to happen here. And this is something I did not take into consideration. See how close that, if I'm using the bottom adjustment, it comes real close to that bolt hole. And I don't want to have any chance that there's going to be some kind of interference in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to re-engineer up this bolt so that this bolt is further back and put a little tab on here. I don't think that'll be much of a big deal, but these are the kind of things I like to check out ahead of time, and then I'll do the other fuse too so that Joe doesn't have to be bothered with that when he gets his, and they'll be kind of the same. A relatively easy job, just got in there with a big, moved this hole back, got in there through the top and just popped that nut right off. Now by far the best way to make a little tab for this, I'm going to start by gluing 2 pieces of 16th plywood together. This way I have all the grain, more of the grains going this way. 2 pieces of 16th glued together is always stronger than 1/8. Simple reason, you have more grains going in one direction, more laminations. I'm laying out a little tab with a circle template. Now I'm trying to look at a lot of choices here. I wanted to originally put a tab on here, and I just didn't like the way that looked. And then I realized I can move the bolt down a little bit lower, see if it's rigid enough. If it's rigid enough, I can use this. Again, these are the kind of things you gotta, it's my own fault, and you know, I could have gone back and erased the tape and never put this on, but you know what a cool guy I am. Hey, never admit you're right. I know Adamusco's laughing at me. Anyway, we're going to just use this and try lowering the bolt. Again, when you don't think about all the things that could go wrong, they usually do. And maybe that's one of the things you can pick up from the tape, is realizing everybody that engineers something like this up, there's going to be some trial and error. It's not going to be an open and shut thing, that's for sure. Now this is just a patch to cover up where the old hole was. And we'll see how this looks when I'm done. I can just, this way I can reuse the hatch. I don't have to make up a new hatch. Now I marked this fuse where the lowest throw of the horn came here, so I probably can get away with having the bolt right here. Again, this is going to be a hit or miss deal. Now what I did, I ground as much of that blind nut off as I could, and it's difficult to get the part back down in there and get the blind nut lined up with the bolt, so I just tack glued on a piece of wood. This will hold this in position while I can screw in the nut from the other side. Now with everything in place, I can just cut that piece of wood away. All that was on there for was just to hold the blind nut while the alignment was done. Now let me just see if I can get this on, just what I've accomplished here. And since both of these hatches are a little different, I may have to engineer the other one up a little different, but let's see if you can see in here that I now have plenty of clearance, and all I would have had to do is figure out in the very beginning to do it that way. Now I also have to, as long as I was looking at this, I also have a little piece of the fillet. I also have this little piece of the fillet that I have to fill in, so what I may as well do, as long as I'm working on this now, is make up a little piece of scrap in there to fill that in. What I did, I opened that up, but again, since I didn't have the body built, I should have left a little more of the material on here. I'll make a little piece of scrap and just fill that in right now. What I did, I just roughed out a balsa plug from a piece of whatever, the softest piece of scrap I could find back there, and I'll trim this all in. And the next time I shoot something silver, I'll put a little silver on there, I'll seal it with CA, whatever. In fact, I don't even have to do that. I'm going to wind up building a fillet back here anyway. But these are the little teething problems. Now, this little hatch, of course, all these little things. I'm sure, you know, anybody even works with real prototype stuff. When you make the first one, you always have these little teething problems, and you have to iron them out. And these are all things that will appear on the plan. And hopefully anybody's building a Spitfire, and several people have expressed interest in getting a set of plans, including Casminato, who's already building a Spitfire. So I hope some of this will just save you work later on in the program, and all the development work I do will pay dividends for anybody that later on wants to build a plane. As always, get some CA on there.
Get that Q-tip going real quick, rotate it. This will just build us up that we don't have to go through all the dope and tissue nonsense. As a real quick repair, if it's not nice and even, I'll put a little bit of that green stuff on. Just the time. It's probably going to be inside the fuselage even. I don't even think I have to do this, but no point not taking a chance. We want perfection. Now they got both of the hatches straightened out, and both of them now have those nice countersink type of bolts on them, so that was a little improvement. Just more ongoing development here. If we want to, you know, anything I can straighten out now is just one less thing I have to straighten out, like during the assembly of the plane, if I've discovered this, would be a real pain in the ass. This way I've got a couple little things taken care of today, and this really can stay like this. It doesn't even have to be gone to silver, because there'll be silver on here when we paint the body. Yeah, that's about all we're going to have time for in this session now. I'm going to be thinking about my cowl hole down. I want to lay out, I got my spinner out here. I want to get some nose rings cut up. I want to gear it off the plastic spinner, but I also want to make sure it fits the aluminum one too, so I can switch just to control the weight. These are those super, super light. They're less than a ½ ounce, these spinners. And I also want to make sure when I make the mold that I don't paint myself into a corner, that I can't use, you know, more than one spinner, just so I can control the weight, the nose weight. All right, see you later, I hope.
No, Windy, go!
Look at this room. Stacy's wrapping Christmas presents. Are you ever going to get dressed today?
No.
Oh, God. Oh, unbelievable. Now, early this morning, I got up early to shovel snow. Got done. Oh, the snow is unbelievable. Came down to the shop, and I just was in a rush to get this done. I took 2 pieces of 16th plywood and laminated with the grain crossed and cut out 2 nose rings. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to have some time to work on that today. But what I wanted to do, the reason I got started on it early, is it's so cold outside, you really can't do any painting. I wanted to paint this little piece on the tail that I repaired, and I wanted to sand out the scoops for what I hope will be the last time before I put the silver on, and then I'll have this whole collection of parts ready to go. So let me get that sanded off camera. Get rocking and rolling, baby. Now, because these parts were so nicely made, actually, when I got them from Joe, they really have taken a minimum amount of work to get them up to this stage. And I just want to make sure, more than anything else, that I have nice edges on everything. I always emphasize the edges. And there's almost 0 to no chance we're going to be able to spray silver on these. It is so cold out there, it's unbelievable. But I'll have everything ready, so this is I guess one of the techniques you can always use to your advantage. Is it would be pretty dumb to wait for a nice warm day and then start sanding. At least I'll get this all sanded out, and hopefully, you know, it'll be warm one day this week, and I can run out there and spray everything silver all at once. But when you start with nice parts that are in nice shape to begin with, putting a nice finish on them is really a joy. And when you start with stuff that's all full of crooked edges and where I hardened these up with CA, the edge is just coming out perfect. So I'm going to get these ready and just hope for some warm weather. That's the whole deal now, is to wait for some weather. If you paint when it's as cold as it is out there right now, forget about it. Number one, your hand freezes to the gun. I've had that happen, where you can't even take your hand off the gun. And the paint really doesn't dry the way it should. It really doesn't go on right. It goes on way too thick. You wind up putting too much thinner in the paint so that you can spray it. Kind of a pain in the ass all around.
But I want to do that piece of the tail. Actually, Mike's stuff looks so nice. Mike's stuff is ready to take home. But Mike's workmanship is always first class, so. This is almost like doing little foam wings here. Without ribs, everything just goes zip, boom, bang. You can get done in almost no time at all. And if I get time later today or tomorrow, depending on what Karen's routine is, we'll get some work done on that fuselage. Now it's Monday and I got this drawing here. This is from Bob. This will be a big help in laying out the all the side views. Got to talk to Joe a little bit about the rudder shape. More on that later. We're probably going to go with one common rudder, but we haven't decided which one yet. So I taped this up on a mirror for a little inspiration, just to give me some inspiration. I'm expecting Mike and maybe a couple of the other of the stunt mafia to stop by tonight. In the meantime, it's time to go Christmas shopping with the wife. A wife who loves me. There's Brian Kiefer's Christmas present. We're just waiting for his old man to sneak up here from Philadelphia and pick the damn thing up. 2 cans of pledge and it's ready to go. Brian, Merry Christmas. Good luck. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Unbelievable. Now that you have a sidewinder like that, the girls will find you.
Doublers here. 1/16th fly, Windy?
Yes, 16. Ron, listen, you got to put this on the video for Brian. Listen. I want this under the Christmas tree.
Oh yeah.
Right, with a
absolutely.
big bow on it,
I'll
bow,
put a big one on it.
and a message from Windy. You owe me your life.
That's it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Every moment you live from this point on, you are my slave. Period. Every time my truck is dirty, every time my car is dirty, anything. You get it. He'll owe me his life, especially if he crashes it. Now, it's Monday night, of course, and the Sidewinder is on its way to Philadelphia for Brian's Christmas present. These are Mike's flaps. Mike, of course, is back home with his girlfriend, giving his girlfriend the coochie coo, and he left me to sand the flaps out, so I've been just looking to see. Mike's workmanship on these is fine. Like the foam things, it's pretty much a mirror image of the tail. I'm just going to sand this out, get a coat of silver on it as soon as the weather warms up, and then get a final sanding of silver. This is more parts to Mike's plane. Then he's going to weigh it all out, and then the last step is we're hopefully going to assemble it right on video here. What we're trying to do is, George is, he's still on the phone. We're trying to get, tomorrow John DeTavio is going to be here for the whole day. George is going to be here, and we're going to try to get this big tsunami wing over here all put back, sheeted or whatever. The gear block's finished. My wife's craft stuff is taking up half of the cellar here. It's Christmas, baby. What can I tell you? And of course, the old Spitfire is sitting over there waiting for some silver on her radiators. Monday night at Windy. Now, I've had a special request at Christmas time here. Any of the women out there that might be interested, I'm getting to be a Martha Stewart junkie. Sunday morning, 8:30. I think it's on Channel 4, I'm not sure. Anyway, some of the projects she's been working on, you know, hey, pretty cool stuff. My wife's into this craft thing. So anybody out there in the real world, like somebody I know happens to be into crafts, is Mrs. Vanez. Mrs. Vanez, if you're listening, now, I know you never watch the videos. You're always in the other room, and you're always, when you hear your name mentioned on a video, you come running back and tell Oscar, hey, rewind the tape so I can hear my name again. All right, I get the picture. But seriously, watch Martha Stewart. See, when you have friends like Mike that leave you all their sanding sealer to sand, yeah, great. Now, watch Martha Stewart. Watch my wife with the craft. Any of the other women into crafts, hey, cool. But don't ever have friends like Mike that leave you the sanding sealer. Look at this. And now tomorrow we got to do tsunami. Look at this. Mrs. Vanez, put Marsha on. Now, the ultimate kick in the ass is 60 Minutes Sunday had on a thing about Martha Stewart. And Martha Stewart,
I'm watching all these little craft shows on Sunday morning with my wife, having a cup of coffee, watching how to make pumpkins and how to make jack-o'-lanterns, and thinking, oh, that Martha Stewart is just like Windy. She makes these little how-to videos, and she's an old woman, but hey, you know, Windy's an old guy, and yeah, she's gray, but I'm gray. And I'm thinking, yeah, we're kind of two peas in a pod, Windy and Martha Stewart. Neat, huh? Right? Then I turn on 60 Minutes and I find out Martha Stewart's gross last year was $22.7 million on her books and videos. And I'm thinking, we're not exactly alike. We're not really exactly alike. So if you enjoy Martha Stewart, keep this in mind. Martha Stewart's making $22.5 million a year. I'm making a tsunami wing with John DeTavio and sanding out Mike's filler coat, and that cheap goddamn Mike didn't even pay for the pizza. Did Mike pay for the pizza? Nah.
Yeah.
Not, he's a cheap bastard. He never pays for anything. Anyway, so the moral of the story is, if you want to get rich, watch Martha Stewart. If you want to sand out Mike's filler, tune in Windy's videos on Monday night. True story.
Windy didn't pay for the pie either.
We never tell who pays for the pie. That's a big secret around here. Charge Damarel. Don't even tell him. Charge Jimmy for the pizza. I want my Sidewinder back.
That's so good.
I just want to show this. What we're trying to do is, George is making up these gear blocks. Very similar. Did you glue these in yet?
No.
These are just like a stunt ship, the a la Windy way, with the block down that way. The double block, and with 5 screws hookers. Of course, this is 5/32 wire. Kind of like using stunt ship technology to hold these in. Of course, the only difference is this is one giant 6-foot span wing here, kind of large. And we're just trying to get everything jigged up and set up for tomorrow. John DeTavio is supposed to join us for the day. And maybe we can even get Oscar Vanez to join us for the day. Hey, good luck in New Mexico, man. I heard he just bought a big, called me last night or tonight, telling me about this great place he found in New Mexico. Built-in flying field in his backyard. He's inheriting a lot of money. I don't know. What are you going to do, put the shear webs in here?
Yeah.
All right, pop the shear webs in there. I got some other stuff to do, and I would start at the middle and go maybe 2 ribs past the gear block on each side. You know, it can't hurt. It isn't going to add that much weight, even if you go a little further.
I'm gonna go right into the fuselage.
Yeah, right, absolutely right.
What's that, George?
Well, last night after the mafia left, we got the shear webs in. Oh, look at, he's putting gear blocks in here. Look at
Which way do you go, George?
Oh my God! Look at the size of these gear blocks. What are you guys making? A real airplane here? God. Anyway, while they're look at the size of these blocks. Anyway, while they're doing that, and I'm gonna make up a crutch for John. Look at this box of wood he brings over here. $500 worth of wood, and then he says he has no money to buy lunch. So we're gonna probably get as much on big tsunami done. Got the big body down here, sitting here. Maybe even get the wings skinned up today. Got the bad news from the foot doctor. Got to go for a foot operation, so that's in the bank. Anyway, and I'm going to, I'll go out in the other room and I'll start making up John's crutch. He's got, see if there's a motor in that box, George.
Yeah.
He's got a VMAX in there. I got to make up a crutch. How's that coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
See, here's what's real nice. Remember the other day we set up the saw to make extra mounts? Now we have extra mounts. We don't have to go back and set up the saw. And the nice part is John will have the same mounts that are in my plane, George's plane. Well, not George's plane. Anyway, it's nice. You can just reach into the drawer, pull out a set of channel mounts. Actually, Bill Zimmer picked up a set of these too, so he's building something with channeled mounts. The whole world. We can make dollhouse gutters out of these things.
All right. That's right.
Yeah, save the ice cream sticks. John can use them for mixing epoxy here. Hey, the other thing, we got the Reno Air Races on video now. Somewhere on this tape or the next tape. Damarel called up and said they're on TV, record them. So I got some of the recording, and of course the winner was, Strega.
What was the guy's name, the winner? He was English or something?
Strega. Strega won this year.
Strega? Yeah, that's another nice one, yeah.
Now here's one thing that's handy is the motor that John's using is my old VMAX Nats motor, but the holes are all elongated out. So luckily I have that pattern that I showed. Let's see if I can show this up close.
Turns on it. And you know what? And that's a beauty.
See how that motor is all hogged out? Now I have one that has the right hole spacing on it, so I can make the crutch up using the right spacing for the motor. It's always good to have a pattern, especially if you go and open it up.
Yeah. Now you set it back down, George. All right, my man. Now, I don't think you're going to be able. I'm going to cut right. I'm going to take the shoulder saw. I'm going to cut right down through it.
You better leave Windy the hell out of this.
Yeah, all right, man.
You want a straight crutch?
Look at this. Look at this. Will you?
Hey, Jose Modesto said he may stop by today to say hello. He's going to be working in Newark.
No kid. What's he up to then?
I don't know.
Okay, now, this has to be... You're sitting in the air.
You got the ailerons all cut out over there, John?
Yep. Yep. We mark this right. Okay. Now, we want...
Boy, it's nice having these parts all pre-made, John.
Oh, yeah.
Thing goes together like beautiful.
Right. So, in other words, here, let me cut you the first one right off.
Now that nice little tool I had made up that's recessed the blind nuts, boy, this just goes together so nice.
It's just a roll of dirt away from its foundation.
Yeah. You got the aileron cut out already? Oh, you got both of them cut out. Oh,
absolutely.
Hey, you guys are getting ahead of me here.
Yeah,
I'm a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
All I got is a half a crutch, maybe. Oh, man.
What are you doing, George? You're quiet over there. That means you're thinking. The sets.
We're getting a big argument. Just put a couple drops of CA on the block, glue it right to the table, use it, and then break it off. You guys argue with me, I'm telling you. Put some more CA. What do you care who pays for the CA? The hell with them.
John pays for it.
Who cares? We'll use all of John's glue
Yeah,
today.
that's right.
The hell with him. When it's his glue, we'll be cheap.
That's right. What the hell we care?
One crutch all roughed out. We're just waiting for use of it. If they ever get off of the sander here, I can get on there and sand this sucker down. Guys, this... John, you gonna use a 2-inch spinner on this? Yep. Okay. What I'm doing, I'm tapering this down so we have less hardwood to sand through for the final cut. Yeah, I got the last shim on here now, John. I'm just gonna sand this down, and I'll start cutting up the fuse sides and the doubles for you.
Okay.
How's the ailerons coming?
Oh, great. I get all the
Yeah, I
blocks
see.
in.
That looks good. George has got the hinges in.
Yep.
The little hinge pockets.
Well, they're getting these right in.
So you guys like my method. You glued this to the table, it worked good, huh?
Oh, great.
I know George will be on his knees later saying, boy, Windy, you know your shit. I don't care what they say about you. Everything I gotta do, I gotta trim the back once I make up the fuse side. I made this a little oversize. Get the bolts all trimmed down and we are ready.
There's a square. Bada bingers, huh? You hear what he called us, don't you?
The Bada Bing crew. Hey,
Come on, you guys never had more fun in your whole life.
That's right. For the hinge, you know, for the meat for the hinge. That's all right, that's right.
Fuse side wood is real nice, John.
Huh?
Fuse side wood is real nice here. I'm really impressed. You got this from Vinny?
Yeah. I
Wow.
bought the whole thing. There's a couple.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. You lucked out. It's good wood. Nice and straight. Didn't spring at all when I cut it. Super wood.
Well, I figured, Jesus, you know, I finally got a chance. In all my years, and I finally walked in when he got his order.
Yeah, right. You do that once every 10 years, whether you need it or not.
That's right. Hey, now, what's that?
Hey, you know, it's coming up on lunchtime there, Bada Bing.
Okay.
What do you think? You worked me hard enough today?
Okay, Bada Bing. Okay.
Time for lunch.
Measure.
Get the servo boxes in, the ailerons cut off.
If the riblets break, it won't hurt nothing.
I thought you guys were more highly skilled in this. You lied. You lied on that job up.
Yeah, skin.
You think you get the skin on after lunch?
Yep.
Oh, mama, what a
You
guy.
bet. We're gonna get the skin off.
George, is he gonna get skinned this afternoon?
Well, we may if you eat light so you don't slow you down working, you know. It's,
Forget about it. We're gonna eat light.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm...
Just chopping up tsunami wingtips here for the George. Well, I hear a lot of sanding going on back there, Bada Bing.
Yep. Bada Bing is
Man alive.
Okay.
Sand-o-matic. You did a big, the tips, a big tsunami. Whoop.
1/8 in there too, huh? You had some 1/8?
There was some scraps left over for making up the fuse sides.
There's 1/8. Yeah, there's 1/8.
I got it.
Okay.
You don't have to breathe too much of that dust and just leave the damn thing on the whole time. Breathe deep, the gathering gloom. Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna go get Karen. I'll see you guys in a little while.
All right. Yeah.
Don't burn the house down.
No, we won't.
Anybody?
You get the pertus?
Just like a big stunt ship, huh, John? Oh, look at that. Drops right in there. Oh. Oh.
George, take a look at that. Take a look at that.
George, you thought Balsa Man died. Let's see how it is. Oh, just like a stunt ship. I love it.
Now we
Enough to
gotta
make a
adjust it.
grown man cry.
Oh, enough to make Balsa Man.
Now what we gotta do is put the bend in here. You know.
Look at these pigs. I'm glad I can't work like this. George Balsa Man Ventrini finally gets his gear.
Papa's a new son of a bitch.
John, pull those skins. I got a suggestion. Pull the skins and we'll CA the leading edge, then paint all the ribs and then flap it down with the alphatic. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, let's CA the leading edge in. Then you still get a chance to push him down and see what's going on.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, we certainly got a cut mark here to where we can line up the skins. We don't have to worry about that. We can push it right in.
And you got the gear blocks marked where we're going to cut out the chops.
Yeah. What we have to do
Okay,
is
you got
follow
that,
the
and the
start.
servo boxes are in
Yeah,
there?
Yep, the servo boxes are in.
Oh, and the gear blocks,
Yeah.
the a la Windy gear. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Okay.
Oh. Niebuhr would be so proud he'd be snake bitten.
Okay, but I think, George, I think it'd be a good idea if we marked where the servo.
The ailerons are drying up over here. Look at these. Look at the size of these gear wires. You'd use these to hold up a house. Holy mackerel. Even Damerel would be impressed with those gear wires. Wingtips are over here. Ailerons are over here. Oh my God. You guys really earned your money today.
In between, right in the middle of here.
Glad I don't work here.
Right in between. That's 3 1/4 inches to there. So
And what you're doing is measuring up. You're measuring up from the aileron hinge line up and
We
over.
can make a hole at 4 inches. Make a hole.
Pop
hole
it
at
in and
4
then just
inches.
trim it out.
Hole 4
Don't have to be
inches.
too scientific about this.
right in between.
Oh, we got the leading edge CA down, and John's just getting nice healthy amount of alphatic down in there around the boxes and spars and hardwood. And then we'll pin that skin down, baby. Yeah, you don't need the pins in the ailerons anymore, that's for sure.
No, they're just right.
Even if you catch every other rib, I think it's going to be fine, John. I don't think it'll be a problem.
No, there'll be no problem. I'm just getting, you know, I'll get them as much as I can.
Then we'll just reverse this, put the skin on the other side, and do the same thing on the opposite side. That's good. Right, you got enough pins in there, John. Holy mackerel.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Was a pin cushion.
Look at that.
Look at that anhedral.
Ain't that nice?
Hold it, though.
Vic Macaluso Crusader.
Put a pin in it.
It's a hell of a day's work, baby.
Oh, man, I'll tell you.
That's a big one.
I'll tell you. I'll have to come back
I don't care
tomorrow.
what Damarel says about you. You were worth every slice of paper.
Huh? Real thin.
Okay, what John does, and of course John is a carpet installer, professional carpet installer, he's got some kind of, and we don't even know the name of this tape, but it's a professional tape that they use to stick carpet down to hardwood floors, concrete.
Yeah, I guess, anything.
And just for laughs, what we're going to do, not for laughs, we're going to really see if it works. Take a pair of doublers, and this permanent, this is really permanent tape. Once you press this down, you cannot pull it off the wood. It's got such an aggressive glue to it. All right, so cut a piece. We did one as a test off camera just to see if it was going to be, you know, hopeless. It looks every bit as strong as when you epoxy stuff. So John is going to do one on camera here, and what we're really looking forward to doing though is we're going to make up some wing skins. I'm going for my biopsy tomorrow, so tomorrow's a shit day, but we want to get a day that we can do some wing skins and do a foam wing with this tape. And plus this tape is almost indestructible. It's so strong, it's unbelievable. And what we did is we took a handful of this, pulled off the backing, rolled it all up in a ball, and it didn't even move the grain scale, so it was almost no weight at all. And everybody that does foam wings, this might even, you know what, I just thought of something, you know what this might have an application for?
What?
You know, like Cartier and a combat crew? You know, Cartier's makes those foam wing,
yeah.
where they just glue monocoat or something.
Yeah.
Imagine if you put this on the leading edge and the streamer comes by, boom, goodbye. Might have some application to that.
We'll have to get one of the combat guys, Lorenzo.
Yeah. Well, Larry, of course, but he's not really active, you know, like Cartier is. Anyway, we're going to try doing some doublers with this, and of course we're always trying to experiment on something. George's big wing is over there, and boy, there's 1,000 pins. It's sitting over there and with all the wife's handicrafts. But we're really interested. I don't know why. I'm interested in seeing how this fuse is going to go together. And again, don't make any predictions here until we see. John's going to be the first one to stand in front of the plane when we start it.
It'll be more interesting how it comes apart.
No, I don't think that'll be a problem at all. The only problem I'm worried about is that somehow fuel will get in there and that stuff won't react. But we tried putting it under the fuel, right?
Yeah.
That didn't make any difference.
No,
So.
didn't make no difference, no.
All right, so.
But hey.
You're not going to know unless you try it, that's for sure.
That's right.
Don't be a rocket scientist without a rocket, you know? Talk is cheap. Pizza is cheap. Right, now what'd you do? You put the tape on the balsa side first?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you put it flush up against the sanding block?
Yeah. So I can so I don't position a doubler in the wrong spot.
I got you, yeah.
The main thing is to get it as close as you can without.
Yeah, I hear you.
Now we have the double face tape on. The glue side is down on the fuselage.
Okay.
And now we're going to put this on. But before we do that, we want to get a block of wood
Now let George hold the wood.
so we can hold that on straight. And now I'll peel the paper off the tape. And you'll find that the tape is so thin, it's just, you can't even see it. I don't know what the thickness of it is, but we could mic it to find out.
You wouldn't be able to mic. It's only a couple thousand, not even a couple thousand.
I don't even think it's that.
All right.
There it is. Now there's the tape. Now the thing is, you only get one shot at
You
it.
get one shot at life. Yeah, it's like flypaper.
So the idea is, is to get it,
Yeah.
hold both of them at the same time, and get it in there,
Get the top edge and then let it flop by
and
itself.
then let it flop down. And that should be pretty close, I think. Nope. Windy give me some extra here to play with, but
You got the parts are oversized. You don't have to be too fussy with it.
yeah, but I'm missing. I can't see. Right there. There it is. Okay.
But the
All right.
block's holding it
Okay.
in alignment, isn't it? Sure.
Huh?
The block's holding it in
Yes,
alignment.
yeah.
You get a good
Okay.
alignment with that, right up and down the
There she
joint.
goes.
Okay, press it down, baby.
That's it.
Sit on it. Drive a car over it.
Yeah. Now, Windy said about. Oh, God.
I'm just reviewing this video. We got the Reno 96 Strega Victory. Somewhere on the tape I'm going to have to put, this is only about a 10-minute segment I got off ESPN. I'll try to put it on somewhere on this tape. Oh, it is. Dago Red, Strega. Oh my God, back to this later. I got to watch this.
At the 32nd running of the Reno National Championship Air Races, I'm Marty Reed along with John Nicholson and Christy Lee, and this is the Unlimited Bronze Division. One of the competitors is Robert Converse. If the name sounds familiar to those in aviation, it is. His mother was Diana.
She was married to a man named John Cyrus, who turned her on to aviation, to flying, and he went away to the war and died in 1945, and she took that love of flying just to the nth degree. Her first airplane was a A-26 that she established world speed records with, and her name is Diana, which means goddess of the hunt, or the huntress. So all of her planes had the huntress on them. She established a lot of world speed records when she had her A-26, and she also owned a de Havilland Mosquito that she flew around the world in 1950, and she died in 1955 in a flying accident down in Mexico. One of the things that I've always wondered about with her dying so young in my life, being 2 years old and growing up, am I on the right track? But one of my first cross-country flights, it got really rough over the mountains around Bakersfield, and I just felt her with me, and I still feel that she's with me, and it's a real deep thing in my heart that she's with me no matter what's going on. I know she's inside of me, and I carry her with me at all times. She's inside, right here.
A great story by a great pilot, the Huntress 3. Not up to where he probably wants to be in this competition. He's trying to chase down that man. In fact, everybody is. That's David Price on the far end of the race course, John, and he is pulling away from the field.
David Price, who qualified at only 331 miles an hour, Marty, going more like 350 now. In fact, in the semis yesterday, there were only 5 seconds between first and fifth place. Now, these guys are going for it, going all out, a lot faster.
And, of course, the reason for that is you've got a whole year to fix whatever you break. And as they say, you don't get to kiss the trophy girl for second place.
Is there a trophy girl here in Reno, Marty? Well, it's a saying, and they say it. Here once again, Brent Heisey and that beautiful Miss America, and here's David Price. Looks like he's going to take it home, but I think Brent may try to make one more run out of Marty.
They head for the final pylon. Yes, and you're right, John. He has closed the gap, but he's going to run out of time. David Price comes across in first place. There is Miss America with Brent Heisey at the stick, and that's second place. Third place will go to Kevin Eldridge. What a comeback. Over a year ago, he's bailing out of his Super Corsair. Today, he's crossing the line in third place at the Unlimited Bronze here at the Reno National Championship Air Races. The speeds 352, 349, 329 with Lefty Gardner and Robert Converse rounding out the top 5 finishers here in the Unlimited Bronze division. What a great race and a great result as we take a look now at the Red Baron Squadron performing for us at Reno. We're back at the 32nd running of the Reno National Championship Air Races, and during the race week the planes are not just limited to the airfield. Here they're on display in the parking lot of the Reno Hilton so that people can get up close and very personal. Also, the Canadian Precision Flying Team, the Snowbirds, made a spectacular flyby over downtown. Made a lot of people look up and take notice. It was quite a sight watching these highly advanced planes fly in perfect formation over the city of Reno. Speaking of highly advanced, here's our own John Nicholson with one of the Air Race's major sponsors that makes it all happen.
Once again this year, Buick Motor Division is presenting sponsor for the Reno National Championship Air Races. I have with me Mr. Ronte Smith, the San Francisco Zone Manager for Buick Motor Division. Great to have you and Buick here.
Well, it's just great to be here. This is a real special event for us. We've been involved for over 30 years. We're just glad to be here.
Indeed, Buick's been involved in aviation with the Oshkosh Fly-In for the Experimental Aircraft Association. Of course, here at the Reno National Championship Air Races. Why is aviation so important to Buick?
Well, you know, it really keeps us on the cutting edge of technology and design, and we really need to be there if we're going to stay competitive in the domestic market.
Now, you're showing off something here at Reno, a new concept car. Tell us what you can about that.
Well, I can only tell you very little, my friend. It's the XP2000. You may be aware, though, that the Riviera was a concept car, and it's doing a great job for us in the marketplace. And we want to be a force in the American marketplace, and that's what we're going to be.
Will it fly?
I think it will. Just might.
You never know, do you? Thanks very much, Ronte Smith, the San Francisco Zone Manager for Buick Motor Division, once again presenting sponsor for the Reno National Championship Air Races.
And it's time for us now to get ready for the Unlimited Gold. As these planes are ready to take off, here's Bill DeStefani from Bakersfield, California.
Tiger's been oozing confidence, Marty. He's set for the showdown with a Rare Bear.
That's his P-51 as it took off on the runway. And speaking of Rare Bear, John Penny from Englewood, Colorado.
Set a qualifying record, almost 490 miles an hour, but has been missing horses ever since.
Also in the starting field, Dago Red, David Price at the stick from Santa Monica.
Strong plane for David, but he's going to have to get a break in order to be up there with both Bill DeStefani and John Penny.
And great to see Mickey Rupp from Port Salerno, Florida. He's in Samurai.
With Dreadnought and Risky Business out of the race, Mickey moving up, fourth qualifier here.
Rounding out this field, Bob Hanna, Howard Pardue, Brian Sanders, Stu Everhart, and Don Whittington.
And as we suspected, he might, Whittington moving up, forfeiting his win in the silver to race on the gold, Marty.
So that's the starting field. The planes are airborne, and when we come back, we will be dropping the green flag as we go racing in the Unlimited Gold here at the 32nd running of the Reno National Championship Air. Back at the 32nd running of the Reno National Championship Air Races, the pace plane has pulled up, and this Unlimited Gold Championship is underway. That is Dago Red. We expected to see either Bill Tiger DeStefani or John Penny in first, but right now it is David Price.
Because Strega, Bill DeStefani, trying to get to the starting line first to hold off Rare Bear. David Price, Marty, obviously the same idea, and he has jumped out to the quick lead in Dago, but it'll be tough for him to maintain with the other two planes naturally faster.
Oh, this is incredible. Look at this. 3 abreast, and it's still Dago Red on board with John Penny. Take a look at his view as he's looking up and over his shoulder trying to find out where the competition is. He knows where one of them is. Dago Red is in front. What a big upset this would be if Price can hold on.
But it's a long race, 7 laps, almost 64 miles altogether, and the race is likely to be between Rare Bear and Bill DeStefani and Strega. As we've said, the last 2 days, Strega has defeated Rare Bear just barely. The question is, was John Penny holding back, or is he really missing some speed?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's missing something right now. He is in a distant third, John Penny is. take a look on the low side. That is Strega with Bill Tiger DeStefani, and he has gotten around on the outside of David Price, who's the high plane there, and then third, just going out of camera range to the right, that is Rare Bear. This is absolutely amazing at the performance that Bill Tiger DeStefani, all of a sudden, he put the throttle forward. Do you think maybe he was waiting to see what the pace was going to be in that first lap?
It could be. What he does have, Marty, as we know, is he's got a new sponsorship. He's got a new, strong engine. He was supposed to have a new propeller for this race. He tried it out. It was designed especially for air racing, and it didn't work so well. Took it back off with the old prop on, and he's going mighty fast now.
I am absolutely stunned right now that Rare Bear has not been able to get around Dago Red at this point. He has got the long way to go. Remember, you have to pass on the outside. You can't cut under the competition. So he has got the longer distance to travel. That's allowing Strega to open up some distance.
To use a basketball analogy, Marty, Dago Red is boxing out Rare Bear a little bit.
Well, one of the things that John Penny was commenting about was every time he did get behind Strega, and he may be having the same problem because it's another P-51, the prop wash from the plane in front of him was causing a handling problem in Rare Bear, and it just was not able to control the plane as smoothly as he wants. Now, we may not be able to see it from outside, but I guarantee you, you feel it in the cockpit, your head comes bouncing off that canopy.
You can really get banged around, and as you go around the pylons, you can be pulling 4 to 5 Gs. It is very tough. It's also, John Penny's pointed out to us, very, very hot in the cockpit. So a very, very difficult situation. And then in this situation where you've got to keep your eyes on not one, but 2 competitors right now, wow, it's tough.
Rare Bear on the low side, right-hand portion of your screen. Looks like he is getting closer to Dago Red and may be making a push for second place. He's got to do something soon. Here he comes. He has got the position as they come down in front of this 50,000 crowd here at the Reno National Championship Air Races. Boy, Strega is just looking so good.
2 years ago, Bill Tiger DeStefani won this race. Rare Bear was out. Last year, Tiger DeStefani broke, and the Rare Bear came back and won it. The last 8 years, Rare Bear's won 5 of these, and Strega's won 3.
And, John, I don't know if you saw it, but heading in through turn 1 there, past pylons 1 and 2, you could see Rare Bear's wings sort of waffling a little bit. That is that air, that dirty air that is coming off the prop wash of Strega. We'll see if we can see it again on the next time around. They're on the far end of the race course, and there's a great view of Stu Everhart, and he is going to play a factor in this race, John, because of the speed differential. He is going to be lapped here soon.
Qualified at 362, about 100 miles an hour slower than the top 3 planes. So we're going to have lap traffic, and that's going to be tough, especially for the trailing planes trying to get around that lap traffic.
All right, this is the race that we have been waiting for. Strega versus Rare Bear. They come through the final turn. That is lap traffic in front of them. That is Stu Everhart. Take a look at Rare Bear on the lower portion of your screen. Look, and he has to make that wiggle again. The prop wash is having an effect on John Penny. Don't go away. More unlimited gold racing action from the Reno National Championship Air Races.
Let me guess. One side of you craves easy chair comfort, while the other side itches for...
But the Toledo Rockets are looking for a little respect. Thursday night at 9, they'll kick off the College Bowl season against Nevada in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Coming up on SportsCenter, KC heads south for a showdown at Joe Robbie. Terry Donahue parts ways with UCLA, and Charlotte tries to shut down the mailman. For Keith Oberman, I'm Dan Patrick. We will see you at 11:30 Eastern.
With Christy Lee and John Nicholson, I'm Marty Reed at the Reno National Championship Air Races, and we are having the showdown that we have waited 3 years for. It is Strega ahead of Rare Bear, and these guys are flying as we go on board with John Penny. You can see there's Strega up in the upper left-hand portion. That's the view that John Penny has, and these guys are over 460 miles an hour every single lap.
But it's worth mentioning, Marty, that Rare Bear qualified at almost 490 miles an hour. So again, back in the 460s, fast for anybody else, slow for Rare Bear.
Well, and that's what Christy Lee talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, that they were not able to duplicate that performance after they made that great qualifying run. There's Dago Red. David Price doing a spectacular job. He is holding station in third, not able to keep running. Remember, you're running the manifold temperatures and pressures so high that if you stay up there too long, you run the risk of blowing the motor. And David Price, as we head into lap number 5, just may not be able to push his plane far enough along to keep up with those two. And again, did you notice there was Rare Bear in the lower portion, John? That plane, that wing wiggle.
That is so important in a race that is likely to be close if he can find a few more horses somewhere. And while you're talking about braking engines, 2 airplanes we'd expect to see in the Unlimited Gold, not here. Dreadnought broke with Dennis Sanders flying it earlier in the week, not running at all in Risky Business we saw earlier in the program, just not up to speed this year. So just those top 3, and there is the top 1.
Strega with about 3,000 horsepower cranking out of that Merlin compared to the 4,000 horsepower out of that radial power plant in Rare Bear. Do you know if you flew these planes for about an hour, your gallon per hour fuel burn would be about 500 gallons. That's how much fuel they are pumping through the system. And if you want to know why they call it the Rare Bear, well, take a look at that wingspan. That's just one of many modifications. The wings are 3 feet shorter than normal.
Lyle Shelton, the owner, holds the record, 481.6 miles an hour for the race in 1991. Fastest Strega here has gone is 455.38 in a win in 1993. The Rare Bear not there for that one.
Yeah, but this time Strega is up above 460 miles an hour as we get another look at Stu Eberhard.
Stu flying Merlin's Magic, but the magic in this race, it appears to be, will be Witchcraft. Strega meaning witch or Rare Bear. But there, as we go on board once again with John Penny, can he catch him?
Did you see that? Look at there, Strega right below him. And again, did you notice how he had to make a correction?
On board once again with John Penny, can he catch him?
Did you see that? Look at there, Strega right below him. And again, did you notice how he had to make a correction there?
Yeah.
And that is absolutely abnormal for the Rare Bear, as John Penny normally extremely smooth. So I got to believe that prop wash is just creating havoc for him.
As we see lap traffic once again, John Penny is getting the view Bill Kirchenfeld, the crew chief at Strega, has promised him of Strega's tail. Wow, there's our view of it too.
It's amazing what sponsorship dollars will do. That's what Bill Tiger DeStefani will tell you. He had some sponsors come on board. Again, we see Rare Bear having to make an adjustment as there is a lot of planes now coming into play as Strega and Rare Bear are working their way around the slower traffic. These two have pulled away from the field, and they have made it their own race. We're down to the final lap as we are finally having the showdown that we have waited 3 years for. Neither plane having a mechanical problem. There is Don Whittington. He's doing very well right now, currently running in 6th spot. He was the silver winner, decided to give up the silver championship to try for the gold. There's Rare Bear, and I don't think that Penny has a chance at this point unless something happens to Strega.
He is going to give it everything he's got, obviously, and you know Bill DeStefani is going to give it everything he's got. He's taking nothing for granted. He's waited for this showdown just as Penny has, and he's got the lead. Can he hold it?
Bill Tiger DeStefani, a farmer by trade. Of course, calling Bill a farmer is like calling Bill Clinton a government worker. And he is going to be on cloud 9 with this win as he is heading down the valley of speed for the final time, taking it through the last few turns, and he will beat John Penny in a heads-up, wire-to-wire match as Rare Bear just doesn't have enough horsepower, and it looks like the farmer from Bakersfield is going to take the United Airlines pilot this time, as crossing the finish line with the win is Bill Tiger DeStefani. Second place is going to go to John Penny. David Price in Dago Red will come home third, followed by Mickey Rupp, as Mickey set out his goal of finishing the race. Every other race that he has been in the past few years, he's always had a mechanical problem. He has managed to come home. There is Mickey. He's going to make it and finish in 4th place in front of Bob Hanna. And look at the speeds, 467 to 465. Just an incredible performance by both of these great pilots and their planes. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk to the winner in Victory Lane. Stansted Airport, there is Bill Tiger DeStefani bringing home Strega with a well-earned victory here in the Unlimited Gold Division. Today's race has been brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority. Reno, more ways to play. Well, John Nicholson has made his way down to the victory podium. That's where we catch up with our winner. John?
Thanks, Marty. I'm here with Michael Houghton of the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, Bill Vick, Buick Motor Division, and the chairman of the board of the Reno Air Racing Association, Mr. Dick Kenner, to present the winner, Bill Tiger DeStefani, with the trophy. Dick, take it away.
My pleasure. Tiger, boy, you were cranking today. Congratulations. It's good to see you back in good form. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dick. And, of course, I got to thank my crew that made all this happen. Before I said they deserved all the work, but I think I deserved all the work, and they get all the credit. Dwight Thorne, Mike Wilt for building the engine. But most of all, our sponsors, Purex, Dial, and the Comstock Hotel. Without those guys, we couldn't have built that new engine to make all this possible.
Any point at which you thought John might get it?
Yeah, the whole race.
As we say, this is the showdown we've been waiting for. The winner, Bill Tiger DeStefani, and what a race it was, folks. Now, let's go to Christy Lee, who is with the runner-up, John Penny.
John, after a record-breaking qualifying speed, it seems like you never really found the horsepower again. Is that correct?
We've been missing horsepower all week long. We weren't able to get it back today. We had a little bit of a problem on the start coming around the first turn. The airplane got thrown out by some prop wash, and I had to struggle to get it back down. We kind of lost position here, but I caught up, and we had a little bit of extra horsepower. I got pretty close to Tiger there, and one of our special systems cut out. I can't tell you what that is, but it didn't cut out, and we lost another 400 horsepower, and from that time he kept stretching out in front of me. But I'll tell you what, he flew a heck of a race. He's a heck of a racer. I salute the whole rear bearer air racing team, and I give my congratulations and salute to Strega. They are a quality team, and they are the champions for this year. This is round 2. We won the first round. They won the second round. We'll get them out here next year, and we'll be in position to recapture the championship.
You heard it straight from John's mouth, Marty. It looks like John Penny is not going to sit back and take another second place. That's it from down here. It's up to you to wrap things up for us.
Well, thanks, Christy, and thanks to John Nicholson as well, and thanks to that man, Bill Tiger DeStefani, John Penny, all the other pilots and their crews. What an incredible performance they gave us today at the 32nd running of the Reno National Championship Air Races. That's going to put a period on it for this year, but we'll be around next year as this one great showcase race happens once again. So long for now, everybody.
Hi, I'm Debbie Dunning, and you're watching ESPN's Extreme Bloopers. I'm Debbie Dunning, and welcome to ESPN's Extreme Bloopers. Today we're coming to you from Rock Creation in Costa Mesa, California, where I'm going to be doing a little indoor rock climbing of my own. We're also going to be showing you
Okay, thanks to Jim Damarel for turning us on to that Reno footage. Those bloopers, that was great. Anyway, it's not really warm out there yet, but I'm anticipating in an hour or so it'll get above freezing and I can get a quick coat of silver on all these parts. The reason being is we're really going to have the heat turned up in the house tonight, I'm sure. And I'd really like to get these things up by a heating vent so they could be drying, especially Mike's first coat of silver on Mike's flaps, the radiators, and that little touch-up spot we did on a tail. So I'm going to look at getting the compressor fired up and get this silver on here, and then we can pick up working on that fuselage nose, get the nose rings installed. Pretty hectic around. Still a little cold out there, but I'm going to give this a shot. Now, I don't like to paint when it's below freezing, but we're right on the verge of it being above freezing out there. Now, I always say you really shouldn't paint in cold weather, and that's true. But one of the things I always, if you're real careful and you get the part right back into the house, you can still see there's plenty of snow outside. It's definitely cold. And since this is just the first coat, this is all going to get sanded off, that's for sure. A little touch up on this. We had to touch up that fillet. And I always look, now one of the ways you can tell if you spray in and it's too cold outside, you'll see everything will fog up. This looks like it's going to be fine. Show this up on the macro lens. This is that little touch-up spot. I think this is going to be fine. Should be no problem at all. I want to just candle this. Look for that cloudiness. If it isn't cloudy, you're in really good shape. It really is cold out. It's colder than I thought it was. Funny story, real quick story, and this is absolutely true. Absolutely true. One day, good friend of mine and a guy that I really have a lot of love and respect for, Bob Gildini, who lives around Milwaukee, calls me up early Sunday morning. Hey, Windy, I'm painting my plane. Can't understand what's happening. All my paint is getting milky white and gooey and nothing's drying and everything. And I'm thinking, what could it be? What kind of thinner are you using? What kind of fisheye killer? What pressure? We went through a whole hour of stuff. I never asked him what temperature it was outside. And in the course of, I said, well, where are you spraying? In the outside or the garage? Well, I open the garage door. I paint out my garage so I don't stink up the house. He says, well, how cold is it in your garage? He says, oh, wait, I'll go check. And I hear thump, 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 footsteps coming. He goes, it's 32 below zero. I said, well, oh, holy mackerel, you can't even hold a spray gun at that temperature, you know? Well, it wasn't 32, but it was really cold. Anyway, we had a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. But keep in mind, when you want to spray in cold weather, what's a good idea, and this is the way you can, I've tried to put this on the tape so you can see it. This is Mike Rogers' flat. Keep the pot nice and warm, open the door, run outside, spray it outside, and run back in. Now this will gas off in the house, but Karen's out at work, so she won't even know I did this. That's the thing. And besides, we have a doctor appointment this afternoon again. Biopsy time, 4 o'clock today. It's so important, though, to recognize what the symptoms are. If you go outside and leave this part in the garage overnight and it gets freezing cold, and then you spray with a cold spray gun. See, everything I have is relatively warm. The spray gun's warm. I'm using the warm air from the house. Then I run right inside and put this part over by the heating vent to dry. Not where it's going to blister up and bubble up or whatever, but just where it's going to be dry. So if that'll help you spray in cold weather, great. It's good tips. I'm going to shoot those radiators too while I got the silver out. So what I did, because I can't really hold these any reasonable way, what I did is I painted inside, and you just get a coat of paint on. I'll paint those with a brush inside later. I'll probably paint them black. I'm painting the bottom. I'll let that dry by the heating vent, then I'll take it out, spray the top, and rest it on the bottom. Just gives me a way of holding it. There's no reasonable way that I can think of right now. I don't want to spend a lot of time fooling with that. All that silver's getting sanded off anyway, so. All right, that can be sitting and drying while we're working. Okay, the radiators are sitting in final silver. I want to go over and look at the mail, see what came in the mail today, and make a little plan of action, how we're going to work out the next couple of days. Now in today's mail, this is a picture from James Mills, and I got a nice note from him. James is one of the people that's really good about, he asks questions, he writes me a letter, he leaves space for the answer, we exchange information. I've loaned him a lot of videos. He's real happy about what he's learned off the video, so I feel good about that. Nice colorful paint job, and one of the things we usually discuss is paint work. I suggested when he built this Magnum that he get a hold of Joe Ortiz and get the drawings that Joe Ortiz has for making a Big Jim type of nose out of the Magnum, which he's done, and he's been real happy with it. This ship has a Randy Smith 51. He said he's real happy with all of the components so far, and I'm really happy to hear that he's getting so much out of the video. James Mills. Now the next step in building the fuselage here, and I want to draw this out storyboard style. Everybody that I know that's ever built a stunt ship can tell you somewhere in your career you run into this problem. You glue on nose ring, and it's either canted down, and I'm exaggerating this of course, or it's canted up, or it's canted, can't show the top view here, it's canted in or it's canted out. If that nose ring isn't installed correctly, you'll look at some point in time at the nose ring, and you wear the paint out on one side, or you wear the paint out on this side, or you wear the paint out the bottom. What'll happen, you'll be rubbing the spinner, all kinds of nuisance things, and then it'll look really hokey. You'll have the plane, and exaggerated of course, then the spinner will look like this. Well, I've come up with what I think is the best way I know of, the best way I've ever found to install this nose ring. And what I do, I'm storyboarding this out first before we actually do it. It's always better to think out what I'm going to do in a building session and then make my plan of action. I install a motor, the crutch, we're up to that point in the plane. So now I have the crankshaft to work off of. Now, if you can follow this in an exaggerated form, I use a metal, the back plate of a spinner, a spacer, an old prop is good, and the nut. So now I have this to reference off. Now, I'll leave the nose ring behind this on loose. And what I want to do is I want to set the clearance here and the clearance here. I want to have this clearance, and pretend we're doing this from the top view also. From every possible view, I want to have this clearance roughly 3 IBM cards. Roughly 15 thousandths is a good number. Now the reason for that is what happens, especially with Tigers and some of the other motors, and Tigers are not the only ones for sure. As you tighten and tighten the motor up, this clearance gets smaller and smaller. So eventually you're rubbing all the paint off of the back of the spinner. You're running into that problem where the motor is binding. You have to add sandpaper washers. The other problem is, from the top view, what we want to do is we want to allow ourselves the ability, without having to add a lot of shims, to just put in an extra half or a degree of offset, and I'll exaggerate this. And then this clearance then becomes larger, and this, it starts rubbing away the paint. Well, I'd like to allow roughly 15 thousandths of clearance. It also allows that as the motor tightens up over and over and over and over again, sometimes Tigers will walk up onto the cone, you lose this clearance, and it is a royal pain in the ass putting shims and sandpaper washers and all kinds of things in there. So, after many years of wrestling with this problem, I've come up with, and I've done it on the last, if you go back to the Strago or the Tsunami videos, roughly 2 or 3 even. I like 3 because eventually you're going to build up paint, couple of thousandths of paint. Now, in our case here, and the reason I'm storyboarding this out is this is a significant thing. We're going to use a plastic spinner. Joe is trying to get some more of these plastic, these real light, they're under a ½ ounce spinners, but they have no back plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the whole thing up with the spinner from the Red Baron, which is roughly the same size. It's a little bit smaller. But what it has is it has a steel or aluminum, I think it has an aluminum backplate. This was a special spinner I had machined up. What I want to do is establish all these clearances for an aluminum spinner, and then modify the back of the plastic spinner. I'll trim the back of this spinner so that they're interchangeable, and now that'll allows me one nose weight option. Now the problem with the plastic spinners are they're so light, and that's the advantage, but the disadvantage is it's difficult to get a nose weight in here if you're going to use the plastic spinner. So you almost have to then resign yourself to the fact of adding weight to the muffler or lead to the back of the engine or whatever, if you're going to use this setup. So I don't want to build a whole plane around this setup. I want to build it around the aluminum spinner. So if I need nose weight and I can't get enough of it into this spinner cone, I can then convert over to the aluminum spinner and I'll be real close. I'll have the right clearance and everything. It's a significant thing. It took me a long time to figure out exactly what I want to do. Another thing, if you're going to use that real light spinner, you know it has a recessed, it comes in from the front, a recessed tip. One of the things you have to, if you want to be real fussy about things, you have to take all your props now. Rev-ups, zingers are a little thicker, and you have to machine where the washer is going to go in so that the thickness of the props is identical. Otherwise, the whole spinner winds up walking back onto the fuselage. So it's a couple of things I have to get real straight in my mind before I do this. And this is new, but this is not new. And getting that 15 thousandths clearance will always allow you an extra degree of offset or allow you to go back to 0. Having the same clearance top and bottom, you shouldn't have to wear out the paint and bind it all up. It seems like it's a royal pain in the ass to do this, but this is really worth doing all the thinking about ahead of time, because once the plane is all built, you wear out the paint and everything else, messy. It's one of the things we've had good luck with Strega. We haven't had any of these things deteriorate in a year of service. Now, also in today's mail, I got a book. This book came from Howard Rush from Washington State. He's the world-renowned combat flyer, of course. I have to tell you, so many people, and if you've been watching this whole set of videos, you know how many people. Mike Cavell, people from Germany, Uwe Degner, it's mind-boggling. I can't even remember how many people have contributed to our little library of Spitfire material. And what I'll do, we're getting right near the end of this tape. I'm going to put as many pages of this book as I can on the end of this tape, and if I have some extra ones, I'll finish it out on one of the other tapes, the title, the beginning, of the end. We're going to work on the fuselage later today. I'm really at a point of, with my health deteriorating like this, where I can't really work full-time sessions, so I'm going to just relax here, get all this documented down on the book. And I know so many people that have been good and sent stuff in. This video gives us a way of sharing it. It's really a unique thing in my estimation. You'd never be able to share this any other way reasonably other than with video. So let me thank Howard Rush, McMillan, Cavell, Uwe Degner, you know how many people, Bob Martens, how many people have just contributed over and over and over and made this such a fun project to work on. And every time, you know, that I go through any of these books and I sit and look at them constantly, I get inspiration for new models, things that I want to include in on this Spitfire, things that I wish I could include, but I just don't have the time. Life isn't long enough. But anyway, Joe, check this out. Get some ideas. This is really a great book. This is really a fantastic book. And this is really the essence of all Spitfires, is that wing. Oh my God, I love it. Adamusco. Look at the heading of this chapter. This is some book. Unbelievable book. I'll be keeping this a few extra days. I have to check this out. Awesome book. This is Howard Rush's book. Now, we don't have enough tape on the end of this tape to even put the rest of this book, and I'd like to get all of it down. Somewhere documented, so all the people following us. And you know, one of the things that's important to remember, and I really, every time I document out or work on a special plane, Strega, Spitfire, whatever, and people contribute things, I just love the fact that we can all share this through the video and that we become closer and closer friends through the videos. It's an amazing tool. It's an amazing thing that allows us to do this. So
We're coming up on Christmas, and boy, oh boy, if nothing else, let me wish everybody out there, everybody's family, good health, and it's something I've come to appreciate just recently. Good health and love to all of you from Karen and I. We'll see you on the next video.